Today I'm going to go over the estrus cycle. There are several different phases in the estrus cycle, and there are several different types of estrus cycles. So the first estrus cycle is polyestrus, which is when the animal will cycle multiple times throughout the year. So the animal cycle will look something like this. It'll be just continuous throughout the year. Then there's seasonal polyestrus, which will happen multiple times. However, it'll occur within one season. So things like long day breeders, short day breeders. An example of a long day breeder would be a horse, which would breed and be an estrus during April, May, and June. And an example of a short day breeder would be a sheep, which would breed during September, October, and November. Examples of polyestrus animals would be cow and sow. And then there's monoestrus, which will normally look more like that. And it'll be an estrus once a year, at most twice a year. And that's monoestrus, that's things like a dog or a wolf. All right, so those are the estrus cycles types. Then there's the estrus cycle. So there are two major phases for the estrus cycle. The first being the follicular phase, which occurs around this time in the cycle and this time. This time in the cycle. The follicular phase only makes up about 20% of the overall cycle. And then there's the luteal phase, which makes up about 80% of the overall cycle. So then the luteal phase will be in between here. And the follicular phase is the period of luteal regression. It's when the new CL is formed. It occurs right before ovulation. The CL regresses and the progesterone goes down, which then increases the estrogen, which results in standing heat. Then about 24 hours later, ovulation will occur. So in this phase, the progesterone will do something similar to this. And then it'll go back up and it'll plateau. Then it'll go back down and there. Oh, sorry. Okay, while the estrogen will do something a little more like this. It'll also plateau during the luteal phase. However, it'll plateau at a lower state. And then you'll have the ovulation occur at the end of the follicular phase, right here, and right here. The luteal phase is from the CL formation till CL regression. And it's about 3 to 5 days after this ovulation occurs. It's 80%. So it is 80% here of the phase, while the follicular is only 20%. And then the primary structure of on the ovary during this phase is the CL, which is constantly producing and secreting progesterone, and that is why you see this increase in progesterone here, is because it's constantly being produced. And then while this is present, no Pre-ovulatory follicles will form. The estrus cycle can be broken down further into smaller subsections of phases, including proestrus, estrus, metaestrus, and diestrus. So proestrus would occur before estrus, and estrus occurs right before ovulation. So this would be proestrus, and this would be estrus. And then you'd have ovulation, and then metaestrus. Here, meta. And then you'd have diestrus. And then you'd go back into proestrus. And then estrus again. Ovulation, and then metaestrus. Ovulation is considered day 0. And it's directly after is when metaestrus here will occur. And directly before is when estrus will occur, which is considered heat or standing heat. Diestrus, it tends to have higher progesterone, so diestrus, higher progesterone, which we talked about it being plateauing here and keeping a higher percentage. And then it's day 5 to day 16. And I know my days might be a little bit. Oh, hey, I got them right. I just was trying to draw the lines to kind of show an overall shape. Proestrus, which is before ovulation, and it's actually before the estrus cycle here and here. Is day 17 through 20 here. Because estrus begins on day 20. It's high in progesterone and then transitions to high in estrogen. So it starts off high in progesterone and then transitions to high in estrogen. So it begins lowering in progesterone and high in the estrogen actually higher. So it actually look a little more like the line would more so do that, and this line would more so do this, but the general shape you can kind of see. Alright, so I drew it out a little bit better so that way it's a little more color coded and a little bit easier to see what's going on. So this is when the progesterone would be higher, so the P4. And this line here follows the P4. So P4 would be higher again here. P4 would be low here. And P4 would be low here. This is the estrogen, so E2, 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 E2. And so it's higher here, lower here, and lower here. All right. So now you can kind of see everything's a little bit more color-coded. So ovulation occurs here and here. And then you'll have your proestrus, and then your proestrus start here. And then that will occur, which means before ovulation. And it's usually on this side, day 17 through day 20. And then on day 0 here is what's considered ovulation. Both of the ovulations occur on a day 0. And then estrus will occur here on day 20. And then you'll have metaestrus directly after ovulation. And metaestrus will also occur here directly after ovulation on day 0. And so this is kind of just the breakdown of how it would flow from proestrus to estrus, ovulation, metaestrus, diestrus, and then back into proestrus. And it's just a little bit easier to see, but your hormones are still following the same overall flow, and the order is still the same.